Hashtag Trending would like to thank Meter for their support in bringing you this podcast. Meter delivers a complete networking stack, wired, wireless, and cellular, in one integrated solution that's built for performance and scale. You can find them at meter.com/HTT. A security firm finds 341 malicious skills in OpenClaw. French authorities raid X's offices over AI deepfakes. And Anthropic Super Bowl ad says Claude will never run ads. I guess that's because they think different. Welcome to Hashtag Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. Security researchers have uncovered a large-scale malware campaign hiding inside an AI agent marketplace. And the twist is that the malicious code was designed to be discovered by the bots themselves. Researchers at Koi Security analyzed the skill marketplace used by the OpenClaw agent framework and found 341 malicious skills embedded in what looked like ordinary third-party tools. In total, the team reviewed just under 2,900 skills published to the marketplace. The malicious skills were carefully disguised as useful capabilities, crypto tracking tools, YouTube utilities, Google Workspace integrations, complete with clean documentation and plausible use cases. But buried in that documentation were instructions to install additional helper components. Those components were the real payload, malware that ran directly on the host system outside any AI sandbox. Depending on the platform, the malware included Windows-based Trojans, Mac OS stealers such as Atomic Stealer, capable of harvesting browser data, credentials, session tokens, crypto wallets, and SSH keys. Once installed, the compromise wasn't theoretical. The host machine itself was owned. Koi Security said most of the malicious skills were part of a coordinated operation they've dubbed Claw Havoc, and in a twist that should make defenders uncomfortable, the suspicious behavior was sometimes flagged by the AI agents the skills were targeting. In other words, the bots noticed there was something wrong after the code was already there. And here's the uncomfortable truth. I could say, only download from trusted sources. I could tell you to use scanning tools, and the researchers recommended one. I'm sure there are others. But honestly, if you don't understand what an AI skill marketplace is and why running third-party code inside it is risky, you probably shouldn't be downloading this or using it at all. I'm not saying that to be condescending. I'm saying it as a friend. This isn't a beginner-friendly ecosystem. This is the Wild West with attackers out there who are out to steal your money, your bank accounts, your crypto, and anything else they can get their hands on. And Claw Havoc is what happens when experimental AI tooling meets an open marketplace. French authorities have raided the Paris offices of X, marking a sharp escalation in an investigation into AI-generated deepfakes tied to that platform. Both Elon Musk and former ex-chief executive Linda Yaccarino have been formally ordered to appear before prosecutors. Early in the probe, the company was instructed to preserve all evidence, including internal employee communications. At the center of the case is Grok, Musk's AI system that is embedded directly into X's search and discovery features. French prosecutors are examining complaints that Grok has generated or surfaced deepfake-style content that may cross into defamation or other criminal territory. What makes this case different is the idea of control. Grok isn't a standalone tool. It's integrated into the platform itself, meaning users can encounter AI-generated material without explicitly asking for it. And that blurs the long-standing legal line between user-generated content and platform responsibility, a line European regulators have been signaling for years they're prepared to revisit. And this comes with an already tense backdrop. European regulators have previously fined X 120 million euros, that's roughly 130 million US dollars, over digital services and content governance issues. That fine is separate from the French criminal investigation, but it underscores how seriously authorities are taking platform accountability in the AI era. Musk's defense is consistent and clear. He argues Grok responds to user prompts and that the outputs are often framed as satire or commentary, and that the responsibility ultimately lies with the user who requests or shares the content. X has also said that Grok reflects information circulating publicly rather than inventing facts, and that holding platforms liable risks chilling free expression. Musk has to realize that he's not in the United States. There is no First Amendment. There is no legislation that says that platforms are free to do what they want, essentially, as in the United States. But this issue is even bigger than France or Europe. Questions are surfacing in the UK around deepfakes and elections, in US state courts through deepfake laws and civil suits, and in countries like Canada and Australia as regulators reassess whether AI-generated content still qualifies for platform safe harbor protections. So this case won't just decide whether a deepfake crossed the line. It may be part of the decision about whether AI systems have pushed platforms past the point where they can credibly claim they're just hosting content and not creating it. And finally, Anthropic is taking a clear stand it plans to unveil on the Super Bowl stage. Claude will not have ads, not now, not later, not ever. The message deliberately echoes one of the most influential moments in tech history. In 1984, Apple used the Super Bowl to challenge the dominant powers of its time, IBM and Microsoft, with a simple idea that later became enshrined in two words: think different. Now, that campaign didn't sell features, it sold identity. It positioned Apple as the anti-establishment alternative to corporate computing. And it worked. Decades later, it's still taught in marketing courses. If the internet had existed back then, it would have gone viral. Now, substitute Apple's message with Anthropic's: no ads ever. Anthropic has long been seen as the underdog, admired by developers, trusted by researchers, often treated as a niche player next to better-funded and bigger rivals like OpenAI and Google, the IBM and Microsoft of this era. The ad-free pledge reframes a familiar story. It casts Anthropic as the company willing to say no when the industry default or groupthink position is yes. And that positioning is backed by how Claude is used. In legal and medical software, and through the APIs that power serious development work, Claude is a paid tool. Predictable, controlled, built for production. Advertising would undermine that trust. At the same time, Claude is showing up somewhere very different. OpenClaw, largely powered by Claude, has become a fast-moving, bottom-up agent movement embraced by individuals and entrepreneurs. It's risky, experimental, and undeniably cool. That tension between the discipline and creative chaos is exactly where cultural shifts often start. If you remember, Apple's real resurgence came when it understood that culture moved first. Music mattered before phones. Photos mattered before spreadsheets. And Apple rode that wave of digital music and photography while larger competitors focused on functional email, enterprise tools, and yes, security. It beat giants with bigger user bases by tapping into what people emotionally cared about. AI agents may be that wave today. Not polished, not fully safe, but exciting enough to pull people in and shape expectations. Google remains a formidable force, a modern IBM. Vast resources, deep talent, impossible to dismiss. But what if the real contest narrows down to two companies? Sam Altman at OpenAI, a charismatic leader who understands marketing, but whose company is carrying enormous financial weight. And Dario Amodei at Anthropic, a focused leader building for a smaller, high-value audience that cares about trust, control, and long-term alignment. They say history doesn't repeat itself, but it does echo. There are no guarantees here, and predictions are cheap. Still, it's hard not to hear those echoes. A quick note, somebody wrote me on YouTube, and I guess people have to do this, and said, "You don't even understand how to pronounce Claude." And I had to point out to them that I'm Canadian. Our show is hosted in Canada. It has a great American audience, also has a UK audience, also has an Australian audience. Probably we're everywhere in the English-speaking world. I just talk like I talk. I say kilometers and meters. I do try to translate those because I think that's a little bit touchy at times. I'm always wondering whether I should quote American dollars or Canadian dollars, or just euros and say nothing. But that's the benefit of being in a big world where we all get together and we hear different voices from different places. I appreciate the fact sometimes I'm a different voice, and I might say Zed instead of Z or Claude instead of Claude. But first of all, I am Canadian, so I want to say sorry. And that's our show. We'd like to thank Meter for their support in bringing you this podcast. Meter delivers full stack networking infrastructure, wired, wireless, and cellular to leading enterprises. Working with their partners, Meter designs, deploys, and manages everything required to get performant, reliable, and secure connectivity in a space. They design the hardware, the firmware, build the software, manage deployments, and run support. It's a single integrated solution that scales from branch offices to warehouses and large campuses to data centers. Book a demo at meter.com/HTT. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a thrilling Thursday.